Hello, Galaxy! I'm Chris Pirillo, and I'm an expert in being myself. I love sharing my thoughts, experiences, opinions, perspectives, ideas, tips, advice with you. So thanks again for liking what I do, these videos, and commenting, especially if you have advice you're looking for. I'm happy to elevate the answer to you if that's something that you want from me, as opposed to me just riffing on something that I want to talk about like I'm going to do tonight. But one size definitely does not fit all. So if I happen to say something that doesn't quite jive with you, if you disagree, feel free to further the conversation. Like, what did I miss? How might I be able to better understand the topic from your point of view? I'm only speaking, again, from my experience. And tonight I wanted to talk about something that I think many people consider to be intertwined, indelibly intertwined, like, inextricable from each other, and that is pain and suffering. And what I'm going to explain to you is that you will feel pain. You absolutely will feel pain throughout your life. I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, we as human beings, when we're dealing with other human beings, we often cause pain. And I would hope that the pain that we cause, more often than not, is unintentional. And when we cause the pain, and we know we caused the pain, then it's up to us, we have to be accountable for that, to either rectify the situation or to at least be able to explain an intent, if that's practical in a situation. But if we're someone who has received the pain, then we have to work through the pain. And this is something that I think, I know I've met a few people who don't do that. I will say that. I'm someone who will feel pain and express it and process it, to move through it, to accept it, maybe not understand it fully, but to be able to get through it, not ignore it, to be able to move on. Because without doing any of that, without processing, without accommodating, without accepting, all you're doing is swallowing that pain. You're just swallowing it like a poison, because it will just eat away at you. It's just like negativity, just nom, 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 and you won't be able to let it go. And even if the person or something that caused you pain has, sincerely explained that, it was unintentional, maybe they've apologized and they're sincere about it, but if you have not let it go, if you have not processed it, then guess what? That's a fast path to suffering, because that's what you're doing. You don't need to suffer. You don't. If you have, and I'm not talking, this is not every single possible circumstance, but I'm talking about situations where someone hurts your feelings, right? In this instance, when we're talking about pain and suffering. And maybe this could be interpolated to other situations where other people are involved. And even if they did something with intention to you that caused pain, you still have to work through it. You can't swallow it. Or if you do, it will lead to suffering. The two are separate. Pain and suffering are two separate things. You feel the pain. You experience the pain. You accept the pain. But you don't have to suffer. You gain control of what you're going through before you just start spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. And I've seen people do this, and it hurts. Even though I'm not the one who's experiencing the pain, I've seen people do this. And people who are, well-intentioned, it's just, even after I might have hurt their feelings, they cling to it. Like that their whole life is clinging to bitterness that should have been resolved. I mean, like an issue that we might have run into a year ago and suddenly gets drug up again, like it wasn't, addressed, contemporaneously back when it happened. It takes a certain degree of self-awareness to understand when you experience the pain, you don't have to hold on to it. You don't. And And that does not mean you have to forget it either. But it doesn't have to continue to hurt you, because you're just going to relive that moment over and over and over again. So you're turning that pain into suffering. And you may not mean to do it. What I'm telling you is that there is a way to get through this. Am I the one to tell you how to do it? That's for you to decide, because it's your life. And that likely will mean that you could talk to somebody else. And in fact, if you have not talked to somebody else about it and you find yourself suffering because you keep re-experiencing pain over and over again, all the more reason to talk to someone, not me. I'm just here to lay down very simple advice to tell you that it is possible to do. Easy? Not necessarily, because some pain is small and some pain is immense. All the more reason to start working through it. I mean, I could quote, as we were batting about with chat before recording this particular clip, from The Phantom Menace, right? Yoda said, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. All of these things are part of life, but all of those things don't have to be a part of your life. You don't have to live in that suffering, with that bitterness, clinging to it, because you have nothing else to cling to. And maybe it's a situation where you have to recognize the pain and face it to move beyond it, because you can't just swallow it. You can't ignore it. It's gonna be there. It's always gonna be behind you, right? Like, oh, there's the pain. Yep, pain is chasing me, right? Okay, here's the pain. I'll deal with you later. Ate the pain. There. It's gone. Oh. You can't, don't, there's no shortcut. There's no Konami code here. You just got to deal with it. You have to. Because if you don't, you're doomed to relive that moment. And worse yet, you're dooming people around you to relive that moment with you. Because when you project those feelings of pain and you relive that moment over and over again, you don't realize it. With the people that you're interacting with, specifically the people who might have caused you the pain, unintentionally, if you're reliving that pain and they've moved on, you're living in two completely different realities. Completely different. Right? Because they have had to come to you, or they have had to explain, look, I didn't mean to do it. I apologize. Let's move on. I don't intend on doing this again, or if I do, it's not going to be intentional. Right? Or even if that their pattern is such that, and you got to take their word for it, even if their pattern is such that they always seem to hurt your feelings, they may not mean to, and they may not know a better way to deal with the way that you deal with things. So in that situation, just like I've said in earlier advice videos, come to a compromise, right? Come to a conclusion together, but work past that pain. And if you need to, work with them on it. Work with somebody else on it. Process it. Get through it. Because I'm telling you, you don't need to keep suffering. There's a better way of doing it, because if you want to be happy in life, you got to deal with your pain. If you want to find happiness in yourself, you have to deal with the stuff that hurts. It's not always easy, but once you begin to make those patterns, once you learn for yourself how to build those patterns, it will get easier and easier and easier. It will. Because in life, there is a sure thing, and that is pain is going to happen. But suffering, in many instances, is optional. Do you want to suffer? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Not do you want to feel pain? No one wants that. But do you want to suffer? I'm telling you, you have a choice. And I hope you choose the direction of not wanting to suffer.